Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back, y'all. What's going on, y'all, man? We are back for another edition of the 50 and 50 show. We forgot to announce it. I think the elephant was in the room when you watched our last live. We had it on the screen, but we never said the name, bro. I forgot. You supposed to.
Man,
you
on,
you had one job to do, man.
It's supposed to be 50-50, man, and we both messed up. 50% of the blame goes to me, man. 50% of the blame goes to you.
That's true. That's true. You ain't lying about that. You ain't lying about that. But yeah, welcome to this edition of the 50-50 show, man. Hey, we got a lot to talk about, man. It's the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is right around the corner. If not, it's happening right now. So, and guys were, making their first impression. Scouts out there watching some of these players, these seniors, and man. But yeah, we gonna get into all that. We're gonna talk about the Senior Bowl, head coaching hires, Chip Kelly, Kliff Kingsbury. Is it down to them two? But yeah, we'll talk about that. And a new segment, flag on the play, man. We got some flag on the play, and when we gonna get to it in a little bit, man, later on in the show, man. But before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Should I give him a friendly reminder? Should I
give him that friendly reminder, man. Every time. Hit him with
every time, man. So the thumb the thumbs up button, it just look at that right there. You know what I mean? All you got to do is just tap it real quick. You know, it really looks like a thumb. So just like the video so we keep coming back, man. We love doing this Raider content. We love talking to everybody on here. So make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, you see the Severe Raider on the screen. Make sure to give him a follow all over social media, including subscribe to my guy, as well as me, man. I'm trying to get this, trying to grow on YouTube, man. Hey, man, we trying to be consistent out here. We trying to be consistent. That's what we trying to do.
Right.
But yeah, hey, man, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. Obviously, we talked about it. The Senior Bowl.
Yes.
It is here. You know what I mean? It's here. Seniors, left and right, guys that, you know, Penix, I feel like that was the right move by going to the Senior Bowl. I think that was the right move.
Yes.
And I because he had to do it because the way his last impression, you know, I don't know if you want to leave it with that, but I think he wanted to remind him, and I felt like he put on a show today. I felt like a lot of people were noticing him out there, like his arm talent is real.
Yeah,
obviously, Bo Nix is also going to be a part of the Senior Bowl, so we're going to see a little bit about him. We're going to hear about him. Man, so who are you actually looking forward to hear about from the Senior Bowl?
And man, actually, Michael Penix is one of the guys I'm looking forward most to hearing about. And like you said, man, he had to show up today. You know, guys like, well, they're not seniors, but you know, Caleb Williams and Drake May, of course, you know, they're not seniors. And then Jaden Daniels, he can only hurt his stock going to a game like that. You know, he has nothing pretty much left to prove. He's pretty much solidified as QB 2 through 3 at the very least on some people's boards, including mine. He's QB1. So going to a Senior Bowl, you know, it's not really going to help his stock that much. But a guy like Michael Penix, he's in you know in steep competition right now with Bo Nix for that QB4 spot. And you know, some people might prefer a guy like a JJ McCarthy. They know JJ McCarthy could slide up there. So you know, he kind of has to go out there and kind of put it all out there, and then also go through the medicals and stuff as well. I think that's going to help him too. So. And I heard he had a pretty good day today. Man. So there was another quarterback there, or two other quarterbacks that are pretty interesting that also had some pretty good days. There's some later round guys. Your boy out of Tennessee.
Oh, Joe Milton. Hey, man, I don't know what it is, man. Hey, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, man. It might be the Al Davis in me, bro.
It's the Al Davis, bro.
That's my foundation, man. Is the Al Davis Raiders. You know, if you're a Raider fan, you know that our history is that part of the culture is having the biggest, the fastest.
Yes.
You know, and it's probably because Al Davis, they said he was a big Yankees fan. I mean, he's from Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So like, and the Yankees, they're usually the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, man. So he took that and he brought it to the Raiders. But hey, look, I ain't mad at it, man. Hey, Joe Milton, I'm not sure. I don't think we're gonna. It'll be crazy if he would be the QB1 for the Raiders as far as the guy that they draft, in this upcoming draft. I'm not sure if he would be that guy. I think he's gonna put on a show. Dude's 235, 6'5", got a rocket arm. You know, his age could be a factor. He's turning 24 in March. Yeah. So, you know, he is kind of long in the tooth as far as a rookie QB. So where you draft him is going to be keys too as well. But then if he puts on a show, combine show, and someone, man, hey, man, there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, man. They need a young guy back there. Today's NFL, you need. I know people keep saying it, but I'm gonna say it, bro. You need that dual threat quarterback. You need that quarterback. Obviously, he got to be able to pass accurately out the pocket. But if it's not there, you know, second reaction play, or you know, get a 5-7 yards, 10 yards, first down with your legs in the red zone. The red zone becomes a little bit more easier because you got a guy that can move. The defense got to account for. So I think that's big in today's NFL, especially how fast and athletic. You know what I mean? Like, players are not going to get open every play. They're not going to get open every play. Sometimes, they get paid too. Defense get paid too, and sometimes they got to lock up. That's why Patrick Mahomes, he made his money off of Okay, y'all guarding up. Okay, I'm gonna move around the pocket, buy some time. Boom, Kelsey wide open after a second reaction play. But I think Joe Milton, he's intriguing. He has the AR-15 factor for me.
Yes.
Like I said, I do like the athletic quarterbacks. We'll see how as this process goes on. But I don't think the Raiders are going to go for a Joe Milton. I have a feeling that they're going to try to attack the QB position early, and I don't think that's going to be the guy. I think they're just going to. They should do their due diligence. They should study all the quarterback prospects. But I think, yeah, man. I think the Raiders, man. I think they're gonna probably try to trade up or draft the QB early, and I don't think it's gonna be Joe Milton. Do you even see him being in the first round?
I doubt if Joe Milton gets to the first round. And to your point, I do think the Raiders are going to be aggressive, especially Tom Telesco. It's his first year as GM. It's one of those times where, look, I can make an aggressive move. You're not about to fire me after 1 year. So I can be aggressive and try to go up and get the guy that I want. But you know what? This previous draft, right? I don't think the plan was to roll with Jimmy G or roll with Aiden O'Connell, right? I think their plan was to get up and try to draft a young quarterback. Ideally, they would have had, what's reported is that Josh McDaniels liked Bryce Young and Dave Ziegler like C.J. Stroud. That's what's been reported. We don't know what truth there is to those reports, but
yeah.
So the plan was to go up and get a quarterback, and when that didn't work, they had to pivot, and they went, they got a veteran guy, then they got a rookie quarterback later in the draft, and it might be the same situation here. We've been talking a lot about Russell Wilson as a possibility, as a guy that we can bring in on a very cheap contract, player that was linked to us before. I want to say you mentioned on the last show how, when he first was trying to get out of Seattle, one of the teams that was mentioned that he would like to go to was the Raiders. So, does he still have some affinity for the Raiders? Would he still like to go here, especially with his wife? Maybe she can start a residency in Vegas. We can get him on a cheap, minimum contract because he's still getting paid by Denver. If you go that route, then you can take a guy like a Joe Milton, that's a little bit of a developmental guy, a poor man's Anthony Richardson.
I don't know, man. I not to cut you off, but I think real quick, I think if we get Russell Wilson, I don't think that should stop us from getting a quarterback in the first round. I don't think it should stop us, because especially because if it's reported that if he comes to the Raiders, it's going to be a really cheap contract, and the rest will be paid out by Denver.
Exactly.
Why would the Raiders stop? It wouldn't stop them from. He's 35 years old. He's an older.
That's right.
It's not like he's a young buck. I understand he could be a veteran bridge quarterback, but that's what they should look to him as, a bridge quarterback. Improve that quarterback room with adding a veteran, which I'm cool with, and it's cheap. I'm cool with that. Super Bowl winner, okay, I'm cool with that. Like he's been
cool
part of winning teams, okay, I'm cool with that. And then you get like a young. If you have an opportunity to grab a quarterback in the first round, I would do it, bro.
I think if you have an opportunity, but that opportunity may not present itself. That's kind of what I'm alluding to is that, you brought it up before, I think you sent me the article with the Giants. Giants were saying, hey, is Daniel Jones the guy? Then you got, I think you told me about the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. They're saying, hey, are we going to go up? So going up could be cost prohibitive. So if it's too cost prohibitive, like Joe Milton is a guy, we can get in probably the mid rounds, and he's a guy that he can maybe sit for a year. He has all this talent, needs a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more coaching. And then maybe by the middle of year two, or after two years of Russell Wilson starting, then we can kind of unleash him. Even and we talk about his age, even by the time next season starts, he'd still be a full 2 years younger than Aiden O'Connell. So it's not so if that, and that's the guy. A lot of people in Raider Nation, they want to see what Aiden O'Connell can do. But I think Joe Milton is a quarterback, a modern quarterback, and he has his arm talent. Is he'll be a top 10 arm strength in the league, possibly higher than that. He's by far the strongest arm in this draft. And another guy that's coming out that's of some interest that also has borderline elite arm talent is Spencer Rattler. And I'm hearing that Spencer Rattler had a very good day one as well. And if not for I think he threw a late interception before the end of practice that, he would have been considered like one of the biggest winners of day one of Senior Bowl of that day of Senior Bowl practices. So
he came in at like 6 feet, 6'1", 220.
Yeah, like a hedge over 6 foot. So he's in. So if we bring in a guy, that's
He's a big dude. He's a big dude.
But whose measurables those remind you of?
Like a Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. So if we bring in a guy like and Spencer Rattler is, I want to say he's that same kind of player, but Spencer Rattler has a big arm. He's a guy that before he kind of fell out of favor in Oklahoma, and then Caleb Williams subsequently took his spot. He was a guy. He was a projected top 10-ish pick, right? Some people thought he could eventually go number 1 overall. He has that kind of talent. Now the problem is that Spencer Rattler also has some of those same issues that I've talked about with Caleb Williams, and I've talked about with Zach Wilson, and that he's a little arrogant and he's a little immature. Now he had to go through some adversity that those two guys didn't have to go through, right? He ended up getting benched, losing his job, had to enter the transfer portal, go to a whole nother school and start over. So going through something like that, did that humble him? And is he a better man and a better player after that? That remains to be seen. So I think when he gets to the combine, where teams are actually able to sit down and interview him and talk to him about, hey, what happened with Oklahoma? How did that affect you as a player? How did that affect you as a leader? How are you going to take that and move forward? What lessons did you take from that? I think that's going to be an important question to ask, and hopefully we don't have Ken Herrock there. We have somebody that will actually ask those questions, because Ken Herrock would be like,
Ken Herrock is probably in the building and be like, back in my day, we used to do it like this. Like he's that one dude that has hella stories. They be like, all right, you know what I mean? But
in the interview, I like that dude.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm over here we talking mess right now because it is what it is, man. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Exactly. So I mean, so that's another. Was there any guys you had that you were looking at?
Obviously quarterback was huge, and going back to what you said about Spencer Rattler, with him, he probably needs to go to a good situation early on in his career, and that's true for a lot of players, but there's certain players who have really strong, like they have I don't know how to mental fortitude. They're disciplined. Like they can go into a tough situation and be the person leading an organization back to glory, or creating a culture, because the best player is the leader and it's the quarterback. That certain players are built like that, but then there's certain players that they're not a leader at that position, and it's the most important position in football. So like he might need to go to a team that's probably like he might need to go later in a draft to a team, a winning team, a winning organization. And he just sees how that type of environment where he can grow in, and that's probably a situation that he needs to go to. But like you said, adversity, he had to go through what a lot of those other quarterbacks didn't go through. So I get that 100%. So that's the pre-draft work that some of these guys have to do before the draft. Like they have to ask the right question. Sometimes they ask crazy questions though. I ain't gonna lie, they be asking, so back in 1992, what were you doing in the bathroom for 45 minutes?
Exactly.
Like, what the hell? How did you? How am I supposed to? They be asking their family random questions. I'll be like, God damn.
Thanks, man. Be having people follow these people. They stalking their social media, all kind of stuff, man. But when you're investing millions of dollars into somebody, man, that's kind of the stuff you got to do, man. I'm about to hand you millions of dollars, man. So, are you going to be responsible with my money? I got to see. So,
hey, man,
I can't fault them too much, man. I can't fault them.
Well, I mean, what did the Raiders? They blew it with Jamarcus Russell. I mean, that I don't want to pull back old wounds for Raider Nation, but that's a situation where it definitely didn't work out on both ends. and you could say the organization at the time, it was just not the culture that a player like that can go to and succeed, especially a Jamarcus Russell. But you also say that Jamarcus Russell also was responsible for obviously everything that he did. You know what I mean? As far as like himself as a pro, how he carried himself with the Raiders as a quarterback. You know, and this is a whole different conversation, but I'm just bringing that up because if Jamarcus went to a maybe more established winning culture, he might be able to like mature and learn and grow and build off the stability just like everybody else. But the Raiders, they went for talent. They went for talent. And it happens all the time. But hopefully the Raiders don't do it. Now I feel like, but on the other side of it is, I don't want to get a Cleveland Farrell too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it can't just be intangibles. Like you can't be.
No, exactly. You can't be all intangibles.
Sometimes I get worried when I hear oh, this guy has a high motor. I'm like, all right, man. Like let's we got to figure. I mean, that's a good attribute. Obviously, Max Crosby has that attribute, and it's crazy. But Max Crosby has talent too. Like, don't get it twisted. This dude, he's talented.
A lot of Max Crosby's. Remember when Max Crosby came in, man? Like, remember the first thing is Max Crosby was skinny, man. Right? Max Crosby was a thin dude. The first thing they said was, "Look, man, basically we about to lock you in the weight room with Deuce Gruden, and you about to put on some weight." And, you know, that's what he's done, man. Max Crosby has worked extremely hard to improve his body. He already had some natural, you know, pass rush skill to him. He already had some bend to him, some quickness off the line of scrimmage. So you have to add those other elements as well. And, you know, he's putting in the work to do that. So, you know, if you got a guy that's perfect example, you know, he gets a lot of heat just for his antics. But Antonio Brown is probably one of the hardest working dudes like I've ever seen in the NFL. Like, his work ethic is crazy. He turned himself into one of the best receivers in the league. But, you know, his career, of course, he fell off because of other things. But if you watch Antonio Brown's, watch his combine. Like, the least impressive combine I've seen from a guy that turned out to be that good at a skill position. Everybody brings up Tom Brady, how Tom Brady looked. But, you know, he's a quarterback, so it's not really like, you know, the combine is not really for you in terms of the testing drills. You know, that they want to see you throw, they want to get the measurables. But in terms of like testing drills, Antonio Brown, he didn't look that great, didn't look really particularly fast. He looked smallish out there, but dude turned into like one of the most dominant receivers. So
punt returner too.
Yeah, early on, man. So
yeah,
you know, so man, you kind of never know. I mean, like you need that. You need some natural talent. You need some intangibles, but you also need like work ethic, man. If you work hard, man, you can turn yourself into a very good player.
Yeah, and you know, shout out to The Rush and Max Crosby in their podcast, and I seen him talking about his off season and how he attacks it, and he said he just started this thing where he'll try something new physically, like as far as like I think last offseason he started doing the UFC fighting. And you know, hey man, that's how the great ones are wired. I feel like the great players, they're wired a little bit different. Sometimes it's God-given ability too, I'm not gonna lie, but also it's a mindset too.
Like
great players have great mindsets, man. We were just talking about Steve Smith, like that dude, he was a monster at 5'9" at wide receiver, but he was a monster. He was strong. Yes. He didn't take nothing from anybody.
Nobody.
He played with a certain level of attitude you see on the football field. Like, I just felt like, man, you know, at the end of the day, like, you got to notice those small things about certain players, and sometimes it sticks out. But the crazy thing about Antonio Brown, like, man, he dominated, bro. There was a stretch.
Dominated, bro.
What is he? This is a whole off-topic thing, bro. We gonna do it, man. It's football. Y'all football fans. Y'all watching this, y'all football fans. Is Antonio Brown a Hall of Famer?
Oh,
is he
definitely,
a Hall of Famer?
Bro. He definitely has to be definitely, bro. He's a Hall of Famer.
Because he dominated for a nice little stretch there.
He's a Hall of Famer, bro. The only thing that stopped Antonio Brown from breaking damn near every record for in terms of consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards, consecutive seasons with X amount of catches, it was himself. He stopped himself. That's the only thing in terms of just talent, but he was out there destroying the league, bro.
Think about
everybody.
Think about how he had Gruden looking on that voicemail. Gruden was kissing his ass. He was kissing his ass, bro.
Oh man.
I'm be honest with you. What the hell? That's how great of a player he was. He was trying to make it work. He was, bro. When I heard that, I was like, damn, this dude, man, Antonio Brown. As a Raider fan, I was like, I've never seen anything like that, bro. This dude signed, he got traded he didn't play not one game with the Raiders.
Bro, Antonio Brown made John Gruden look like Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, damn.
Oh, man, hold up. I done pulled my dang headphones out, man, laughing at this nonsense.
Hey, man, that's classic. Jalen Ramsey and Steve Smith.
Oh, man. That's hilarious.
That's
an insider, man. People probably don't know about that. But
hey, if y'all want to know, man, just look up Steve Smith and Jalen Ramsey, man, going at it. That was hilarious. But yeah, man. Hey, man, there's gonna be definitely a lot of players that we'll probably talk about in future lives. But man, it's so many different position groups. O-line group I heard did well. They had a good little showing. But hey, man, we're gonna see more players. I mean, it's still like a couple days. The Senior Bowl, when is it scheduled? The actual game?
I think the third is the actual game. We're gonna be practicing all week.
But the coaches and scouts, they get a lot of intel from these practices and talking to them one-on-one. Yes. And obviously them competing in practice and stuff like that. So they get a lot, man. Obviously we got into the quarterbacks. I'm sure we got to take a look at the corner position. You know what I mean? That corner room, Amik Robinson, I believe, is a free agent.
The Raiders have a coach there. Yes. They're their linebacker coach, I want to say.
And I believe a DB coach, Ricky Manning Jr., he might be one of the coaches possibly in one of the
I think he's at the East-West Shrine. I don't know if he's at the Senior Bowl or at the East-West Shrine game. But the guy Leonard, I forget his first name. But the guy Leonard, we just hired I want to say I want to say a linebackers coach. He's at the Senior Bowl, or maybe he's coaching linebackers at the Senior Bowl. I'm not sure what position he actually fills on the Raiders, but I want to say he's coaching linebackers at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Hey, man, there's a lot going on with Senior Bowl, man. Obviously, hopefully the Raiders will be able to, pinpoint some players that can fit on this team, but specifically the coaching staff that hasn't been put together officially yet. Man, let's get into some of the news. Little update with the latest on the OC search for the Raiders.
Yes.
And someone's name's been added into the pool of candidates.
A very interesting name.
Former head coach and current head coach for the Bruins. He's current head coach for the Bruins, right? UCLA. And former head coach, NFL coach, Chip Kelly. From what's being reported by, I believe, Florio. I think Florio was the first to kind of get on this. He was saying that he's trying to connect himself with the Raiders. He's interested. So the Raiders might look into it. I mean, how do you feel about Chip Kelly, man? Would you be mad if Antonio Pierce was like, this is the OC? Because it's a big hire. Can't get it wrong.
So I wouldn't necessarily be mad. He's not my first choice. I've been on the Kliff Kingsbury thing for a while now. I think Kubiak would be a better choice. But I would not be mad at Chip Kelly. He's a guy that has coaching experience in the NFL. He's also a guy that, he's a very good play caller. Very good play caller. He's a guy that has had some success at the NFL level. And I think, we always talk about running the ball. And people associate Chip Kelly with some crazy, passing schemes. One of the things Chip Kelly does best is he runs the ball. He can manufacture yards in the running game. And I think The kind of pace that he plays at, it tires out defenses, and it leaves them susceptible to the run, especially late in games. What he also likes to do is that he also usually has like a multi-back system. So for people that are dead set on bringing back Josh Jacobs, this could be a key that, hey, you know what, he would probably want Josh Jacobs back, and he would probably want to run a three-headed monster, possibly Josh Jacobs, Zamir White. We also have a former Bruin that he coached, and Britton Brown is another guy he might like to utilize in that system. And he likes to throw the ball to running backs. I think we really haven't been using Josh Jacobs a lot in the passing game as a running back, nor Zamir White. And he's very good, extremely good at utilizing his tight ends. And I think people were kind of worried that, if we hired some of these other candidates, namely Kliff Kingsbury, that Michael Mayer would be underutilized. That's not in the Chip Kelly offense. A few years ago, before he went to the league, Greg Dulcich was probably our number one wide receiver, and he found ways to get Greg Dulcich in favorable matchup situations, and Greg Dulcich was killing. So and he left college as and some people's board, he was a top tight end the year that he came out. Very solid hire. A little underwhelming when you think about possibly Kliff Kingsbury or Kubiak, but I think it'll be a solid
hire. It's tough because when I think about him in the NFL and how he got his start, he started with the Eagles as a head coach for the team, and he inherited a talented team. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, obviously LaShawn McCoy, Jeremy Maclin. Like, there's some talented players on that offense, and right away I think him and Deshaun Jackson didn't get off to the great start, and he ended up leaving the team, and I'm like, man, you kind of breaking up a dynamic duo right there with the team that he already has chemistry with, and he's established, and he's still an explosive weapon because he still has something left in the tank, I believe, at that time. So I thought, I don't know, man. And as his time with the Eagles, the offense kind of got worse. Red zone offense didn't look spectacular. They were like, right at 50%. I think the highest he had was 55. And that might have been with the Niners, actually. Yeah. So and they went 2-14 with Chip Kelly, and they fired him right away as soon as they found out Kyle Shanahan was a candidate. So that should tell you how much they felt about Chip Kelly. Like, his first year didn't even give a chance to recover from, was a tough season for the 49ers. But that being said, that was him as a head coach.
Exactly.
Now, as an offensive coordinator, you kind of can cut out the fat a little bit. Like, you don't have to deal with certain things. Like, look at Josh McDaniels. Obviously, like, we know he's not a head coach, but as a coordinator, maybe it might make sense for Bill Belichick. that's probably the only coach he could coach under is Bill Belichick. But it is what it is. Because hey, and the reason why I'm saying that, and it's true. It's because it is true. Like, people forget that he went to the Rams after Denver Broncos as an offensive coordinator, and it didn't look too good. It didn't look too good as a coordinator. Yeah. Now, maybe you could argue the Rams were that talented. They had Sam Bradford at quarterback.
Sam Bradford, man, yeah.
But Sam Bradford. He was part of that coaching staff. Hey, you're a quarterback guru. You know what I mean? Why?
Yeah.
That's your guy. So. But my point is that Chip Kelly wouldn't have to have the responsibility as head coach. He can focus on coaching that side of the football, game planning, calling plays, and I think it is an attractive job for offensive coordinator because he would have full control over the offense. Yeah. AP is a defensive head coach, and that might be a little bit strong because he's never been a coordinator. He's been a linebackers coach. So he's going to let his coordinators coach their side of the ball, whether it's DC or OC. Like, we've seen it with Patrick Graham. Hopefully he's coming back. You know, and hopefully he's coming back. That's a big hire, but it's not official until at least one of the teams that I think Seattle still hasn't filled out that position, and he was one of the second interviews that he had with Seattle. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But a guy like Chip Kelly, I don't know. I'm a little hesitant, but I think he's changed his approach with the Bruins. I mean, and I know you're a big UCLA fan, so you've watched a few games. So I know you would have a lot to say about this as far as like how he is as an offensive coach, how much he's improved UCLA football. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can see the contrast of what UCLA was before and after, or currently with Chip Kelly. So yeah, man, I'll take your word for this being solid, but I would want someone else. For some reason, I don't know if I would be as excited. But there is one guy I think that we both can agree that I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it, and that's Kliff Kingsbury. And Kliff, if you want to give the people the intro to this clip that I'm about to play.
Yeah, man. So there was a coach. He was a coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, at the time, they had an opening at offensive coordinator. And we all know they opted to go in a different direction. But this was basically the coach on the Pat McAfee show telling the guys, what kind of coach that Kliff Kingsbury is and why he would have been a great fit, offensive coordinator for the Steelers, and why I think he would be a great fit as the offensive coordinator for the Raiders.
Hey, Cuse, obviously you played for Arizona under Kliff Kingsbury's guidance. He interviewed for the Chicago Bears job. Now, allegedly, Peter King said that he's interviewing for the Pittsburgh Steelers job. He's back on the circuit doing OC. With the modern offense, he'd win the headlines, I think, if you were to hire Kliff Kingsbury as your offense coordinator.
He's exactly what you want. You want to basically infuse the new age scheme into that Pittsburgh Steelers locker room. They haven't had it in years, and he's so good. I mean, there were so many times he would come up to us and be like, hey, man, this is what I do. I get guys open. And when you turn on his tape, there's guys open all over the field.
Former quarterback, obviously incredibly handsome.
Yep.
Father a Marine. From Texas, just loves ball and looks cool all the time.
So cool. I mean, he's in there at 3:30 in the morning all the time.
Really?
Yeah, he's a grinder.
I don't think anybody talks about that about Kliff because how cool he looks.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying
he's in there early, getting his workout in. He's watching tape by 4:15.
Jeez.
Oh,
okay, Kliff. Didn't know that about Kliff. Obviously, Dad Marine from, of course.
Makes sense.
Should have known this from the beginning. Speaking of looking cool like Kliff Kingsbury and a guy that's grinding 3:30 a.m. every day.
Every day.
9-year NFL vet, host of Everything Deep.
Yeah, man. Hey, there's a lot to like by those comments. I mean, that's what you want. You want your OC to be a little bit crazy like that,
Right.
And if you can get a quarterback version of him,
bro,
Super Bowl.
Exactly, man. Like you want a guy that's a grinder like that, and you want a guy that's hey, he's turning over every stone to try to find that advantage. And like the dude said, man, if you look at what he did with the Cardinals, he got dudes open. Now, did the quarterback always find the guys? I think that maybe there are some issues there, especially him trying to balance the responsibilities of being a head coach and the offensive coordinator basically and the play caller. I think you take a little bit off his plate. Let Antonio Pierce be the CEO. Let him just control the offense. Mm-hmm. I think we got something there.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't be mad at it, man. One of the biggest things I like is the fact that he's coached some really talented quarterbacks.
Yes.
He's coached some really talented quarterbacks. Obviously, what we've seen of him in the NFL, kind of similar to Champ Kelly. I mean, not Champ Kelly, but Chip Kelly. There's so many Kellys, bro.
Exactly,
but it's God damn. But it's similar to Chip Kelly in that if they were to come to the Raiders, it wouldn't be as a head coach. It's coming as an offensive coordinator. So they just solely would focus on creating an offense. And Kingsbury kind of has a little bit more, I would say more upside. More upside because of the type of quarterbacks he's been. He's been successful coaching some top offenses, but it's still like it's still kind of a wait and see with Kingsbury. You don't know how it's going to look like him as an OC for the Raiders. With which quarterback is he going to be coaching?
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be Aiden O'Connell. I know for a fact Aiden O'Connell, if Kliff Kingsbury is the quarterback, I'm not the quarterback, but the OC of the Raiders, the offensive coordinator, there's no way that Aiden O'Connell is the starting quarterback of the Raiders, man. I can't see that happening with him for some reason. I just feel like it has young quarterback written all over that offense if you got Kingsbury in there as an OC. I think that's probably what has people excited the most, because we know that it's going to come with a young QB, and that's going to be dual threat. It's going to run. It's going to be talented back there. Be able to buy some time, and there's some options in the draft too. So, but yeah, man. Hey, man, it's a lot to like. The Raiders haven't announced anything at least during the taping of this show. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We haven't heard any strong rumors where they're going to announce anything. Possibly because they might be waiting for Clinton Kubiak.
Yes.
The passing game coordinator that a lot of people are high on right now for the San Francisco 49ers, and they won't be able to do an in-person interview until after the Super Bowl. If the Niners lost this weekend, they had one job to do, y'all.
Man.
Detroit had one job to do, man. Just finish the game. Finish the game.
Man. Oh, man.
We would be interviewing our future OC and Clint, Kubiak right now. But
yes,
that's in the past, man. We don't want to talk about the past, man. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But Clint Kubiak, all right, he's gonna be. Hold on one second. But yeah, Clint Kubiak, man, I think is gonna be an interesting candidate if he's available for the Raiders. If the Raiders they're waiting for this guy, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I just hope that it's not a situation where like some of the coaches today that have been announced that are returning back to their teams. I hope it's not that type of deal.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a very dangerous game. If you're waiting for one candidate, it's a very dangerous game because, the league never stops moving. There's business happening every day. You're sending scouts out there to scout these players, and if you don't know what kind of offense you're going to be running, what your offensive philosophy is going to be, you don't know what kind of players the coaches like. Hey, what kind of tight ends are we looking for to fill out the rosters? We're going to likely move on from Hunter Renfrow. What kind of hey, do we need another fourth receiver? What kind of offensive lineman do you want to run? Are we going to be a power scheme or zone scheme? All those questions need to be answered. So you can't really properly scout until you know what your identity is going to be on that side of the ball. And you really don't know what your identity is going to be on that side of the ball until you have an offensive coordinator in place to set the identity, because we have a head coach that's not an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy, but even there, he's not really running the defense. That's Patrick Graham. So if you were to hire another defensive coordinator, God forbid Patrick Graham was to leave, then we have to find a whole nother defensive coordinator. Then we kind of have to, see what his philosophy would be. So I think, right now we're kind of in that limbo, in that area where we don't want to be in. We kind of have to make a decision soon.
I hope if, Patrick Graham comes back, and I hope that Pierce plays chess and has someone in mind to be the replacement of Patrick Graham a year in advance. Whether it's a young coach, up-and-coming coach, whether it's a veteran, like he has a plan. Because right at this point, we know that Patrick Graham is every year it's going to be him trying to leave to find a head coaching job. And if he doesn't get it this year, if the Raiders have a strong performance defensively, which I think they can really have if they make the right upgrades on defense, maybe add another D tackle, You know what I mean? It's someone in the mix there. A linebacker, a corner like that. You know, if we get someone in free agency, that's a game changer. Chris Jones. I think Jalen Johnson is going to be tagged.
Yeah, probably.
So, you know, I don't think we're going to have an opportunity of him. We'll take a look at some of the free agents maybe in a little bit. But yeah, man, it could easily happen where they can if they have another great year on defense, I think that's going to probably raise some eyebrows around the league. And Patrick Graham's probably going to get his opportunity somewhere if he doesn't get it this year. But yeah, I think that's best case scenario is PG coming back, bro. PG coming back, and we prepare for him to leave.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Look, hey, just like Robert Kraft and I think Gerard Mayer, they kind of like told him that he was going to be the head coach next year, and they kind of wrote it in his contract.
Yes. I think, you know, you talked about those coaches announcing that they were coming back. You know, so we got, you know, Bobby Slowick basically saying he's going back to the Texans. Gerard Johnson was a guy I talked about early on, you know, with you on the podcast, as a guy I'd be interested in as an offensive coordinator if we were to hire a guy like Bobby Slowick. He's supposed to be going back as well. Ben Johnson was the guy I mentioned early on with you as well. He's supposedly staying on with Detroit. So with that happening, there are less and less candidates out there for these jobs. And with, you know, the interest that Patrick Graham generated, especially in Seattle, you know, that raises the likelihood that they could tab him as their head coach. Now, do I think that will happen? I don't think that will happen. I think Dan Quinn is going to eventually be the guy there. But, you know, would I be surprised? No. Like, nobody thought Canals was going to get a head coaching job this quickly. You know, like, he got a head coaching job before Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick. No, you know, nobody would have said that. So I think when you got that situation, you got a job open, and they've brought Patrick Graham in multiple times for interviews, I think it would be foolish if we did not already have a plan in place just in case Patrick Graham leaves. You know, whether that be somebody from outside the organization. I mean, I'm hoping it's not Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis was great in the early 2000s. You know, this is a different day and age. It's a different, you know, teams are playing a different brand of football. It's a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of cover six. So, you know, I think the game may have passed him by a little bit, but if we don't have somebody else in mind, I think that could be a very, very dangerous thing. Now, the good thing is with all these coaches being fired, there are some candidates out there, and with only a few spots left out there, you know, there could be some candidates that we can possibly grab. I mean, I know how popular this would be, but Ron Rivera is the guy that's still out there. We got the guy Ejiro Evero. He was formerly a defensive coordinator for the Broncos and formerly defensive coordinator for the Panthers as well. He's likely not going to get another head coaching job as well. So if, you know, Patrick Graham does leave, you know, that's a guy I would really like. The only dangerous thing about him is that he's going to get future head coaching consideration. Probably in this next cycle. So it could be a situation much like we talked about with the offensive coordinators, where it could be one and done or two and done. You know, that can be the situation with him, where he coaches a defensive coordinator for 2 years and then he bounces. Difference is that we don't have to worry about the development of a young quarterback in the situation with him. You know, where we worried about how does that affect their development. With offensive coordinator, that we do have to make that consideration. Not so much on the defense side of the ball.
Right, and we kind of alluded to it with some of our comments. A lot of the top OC candidates went back to their teams.
Yeah,
like a Ben Johnson, and I put out this tweet, or X, I don't know, what is it called? Is it called a tweet nowadays? It's called X. It's not called Twitter no more, man. Hey, it's 2024, man.
I still call them Twitter, man.
Hey, they change the name every year, man, every day, man. But I said all these top OC head coach candidates going back to their teams. API are looking better every day.
Not facts.
Man, it's looking good because we were lucky to kind of identify who our head coach should be. From Mark Davis's words, he said a lot of all the candidates that we interviewed wanted to hire AP as the head coach for the Raiders.
Yeah, but
you know, it's coming from the owner, so it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's too.
No, but it's not even that. It's a situation where
they gonna say whatever.
Yeah, like AP is already the coach, and then you're in the interview for a GM job where you inherited this coach, and the guy that's gonna hire you is like, "Hey, do you think this should have been the coach you hired?" Or you'll be like, nah, bro, I would not have hired this too." Like, you're like, "Nah, bro, that was a bad hire. Like, that was a bad move." Like, you're not gonna say that. You're gonna say whatever's gonna get you in the door, and then you'll see if it works out with the guy, and if it doesn't work out with the guy, maybe keep it for a year or two. You know, get him up out of there.
And you could be like, and they could be like, you know what? But it was not my decision to get him. He was already in place. So give me an opportunity to pick my own guy, own coach. They're looking at it as a chess move. Without a doubt, yeah. So it's not saying a lot. It's not saying a lot if Mark Davis and every candidate. But that being said, they did identify their head coach early on. Let's just say that. They identified their head coach early on while all these other teams were trying to interview every candidate. And there's only a few teams that kind of named their coach early on. Like, well, I'll say this. I said the Raiders, they got to it early on, but a lot of the top OC like Ben Johnson, that's a highly, everybody was talking about him. Bobby Slowick was interviewed. Jerry Johnson's been interviewed for head coaching duties. You know, maybe they were going to go with them anyway for whatever reason, but at least Ben Johnson, and he decided to come back another year in Detroit, so that tells you a lot about how much respect he has for that Lions team, that locker room, that coaching staff. And guess what, man? Hey, look, at the end of the day, like, it's a situation where he's going back to, and he has 100% control of that offense. So he wants to see it through. He wants to win a ring, and I respect it, but it is a risk too. Let's be honest, it's a risk because injuries happen every NFL year. Lions could easily lose a few games and have a tough year. Then do people hire Ben Johnson after that year? Usually you want to come from a team that's on the up and up, because I don't know. I just think that it is a risk. It's a risk because anything could happen next year, and he might not be the number one candidate on people's lists.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're a young head coach, and I kind of brought this up after we got rid of Josh McDaniels. Anytime you are a young head coach, you have to make considerations about where you go, especially if it's going to be your first head coaching job, because that could paint who you are for the rest of your career. And you can be known as a guy that failed miserably in this city. Like that Denver tenure, that's going to haunt Josh McDaniels for the rest of his career, right? What he did this past season in the quarter with us, that's going to follow him for the rest of his career. He was one of the, he was the Ben Johnson. He was the Bobby Slowick. And he took a job, early, especially in Denver, probably took a job too soon. And that essentially just, that's going to follow him for the rest of his coaching career. And he's always going to be, judged by what he did with that team. So anytime you're a young head coach, you have to take that into consideration. Like, what situation am I going to? Am I going to a situation that's stable? Am I going to a situation where, the owner isn't going to meddle too much, or they're going to give me the ability to to hire, the coaches that I need to hire? Are they going to let me draft how we would like to draft? Like all that stuff comes into consideration. So, some of these coaching situations he's looking at now. Seattle is not the same. Seattle has basically been pretty stable with Pete Carroll for a while. But you got to look at, do you want to be the coach that follows Pete Carroll, probably the best coach in franchise history? Do you want to be that next guy? Do you want to go to the Washington Commanders, even though they don't have Daniel Snyder anymore? But recently they've been a very dysfunctional organization. You have new ownership. They're a young ownership group. You're like, do they really know what they're doing? Do you want to be the first guy to test those waters? Do you want to be their first hire? So those are all things they're looking at. And, you know, Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson, most people thought Ben Johnson was a shoo-in for the Washington job. And he took a look at the situation and was like, you know what, I'm cool. I'll stay where I'm at. So and that's why I think, man, that this is all like every movie, like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So anytime you fight, any decision you make as an organization, you know, it's the butterfly effect, bro. Like that pebble in the pool, those ripples reach, you know, far and wide. So anything you do, like, you know, that can affect a million things in the future. So all people are looking at all that stuff.
I think it's a better gamble for Bobby Slowick and Jared Johnson to go back because they're pretty young, and they have a situation that they haven't really, you know, hit the ceiling yet. It can go to another level because they had a rookie QB in C.J. Stroud, so I'm sure Slowick. From what it's been reported, both him and Jared Johnson got a raise, came back, got a new deal, and they got a raise. So, and they get to come back to a young rookie QB that looks like he's the truth, like like C.J. Stroud.
Facts.
Man, franchise quarterback. Like there's a lot room for growth for sure, but man, it looks like everything's on the up and up with him, man. The sky's the limit, and that's why I feel like it was a good move for them to go back because there's a lot of room for growth. For Ben Johnson, I feel like he's made his point.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows, like this dude is the number one offensive candidate. Like he was kind of the number one guy as far as like that OC who obviously coached a really good offense. People seen what he did for Jared Goff's career because a lot of the narrative with Jared Goff was like he's going to be a journeyman quarterback at this point. He got traded. The Lions were the loser in the deal, getting Jared Goff, and the Rams were the winner. That was like the narrative. Yeah. And early on that was the truth. They won a Super Bowl, but things turned around for Jared Goff. I mean, he's looking like a really good QB in this league. Like I wouldn't call him great. I wouldn't put him up there, but like he's pretty good QB. Kirk Cousins
it's very
type
good
deal.
QB. He's better than Kirk. He's better than Kirk Cousins.
You think he's better than Kirk Cousins?
Oh yeah. He's better than Kirk Cousins, right? I'd take Jerry Goff.
Man. Kirk Cousins was balling this year too before he got hurt.
But
he's mid-tier QB.
Yeah, but Kirk Cousins has Justin Jefferson, who was probably, at this point, probably a lot of people will say he's the best receiver in the league. Then he got the receiver out of, I forget the guy's name, but the receiver out of USC. They just drafted in the first round. Then they got T.J. Hawkinson, who's, one of the better tight ends in the league. So, they got some weapons over here. So, while Goff has Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams
tight end is nice.
And Sam Laporte is nice. Sam Laporte is a dog.
And he has a way better run game. And
yeah. But I got Goff. I got Goff ahead. Goff has already been to the NFC Championship game 3 times. He's been to Super Bowl already. Some questionable play calls away from going to the Super Bowl again. 2 different franchises.
I think his reputation is like you could win with him. You could win with him. Can you win a Super Bowl? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you can win a Super Bowl, but man, he did go with Super Bowl with the Rams. But the narrative around him when he was with the Rams was the Rams team itself was great, and he was there along the ride. But it is what it is. They didn't win it with him. They didn't win the Super Bowl with him, but that's why they made the trade for Stafford.
Yeah,
and I think Stafford's better. I'll take Stafford over.
I think Stafford. So I think Stafford now. I don't know. Right.
I like Stafford. I like Stafford, bro.
I like Stafford too, but this very second, because Stafford's a little bit older. Stafford's been in the league a long time, bro.
I'm just saying I feel like he's a better quarterback.
I'll give you that. He might edge him. He might edge him out.
Wow.
He might edge him out.
He did it with a rookie QB, and I'm not gonna lie, what's his name didn't really look as good as he has in the past. Cooper Kupp looked like he was getting locked up this year.
He was getting kind of locked up. But Puka Nacua is a dog, man. Puka Nacua is a dog.
He saved that pass. Like he saved that offense, man. And part of that though, part of that we got to give respect to Stafford, because before we were like, man, he had Calvin Johnson. Of course he's gonna get the big numbers. Of course he's gonna. There was a little bit of like an asterisk with Stafford. They felt like he was, they didn't. He wasn't getting as much respect. Maybe because he was with Detroit with all those bad teams, and it is what it is. Kind of like the Derek Carr effect, but Derek Carr is obviously. I don't even know why like people were comparing him to Stafford. Man, I was one of those people too. I was like, I was too, bro. I ain't gonna lie, because I was like kind of going with the narrative, like, you know what, if Carr gets a good defense, he gets players, and then he had all that, man, and he didn't make it work, man. When it came down to it, it was everybody's fault, but his. Like it always is, man. And that's what it's gonna always be. With Derek Carr fans, is always gonna be there. But I don't talk too much about him, man. I did the same thing. I got a cousin. Someone's gonna make a comment too. Someone's gonna make a comment, but be like, that's all they gonna be saying. Hell nah, man. Derek Carr this, Derek Carr that, man. But and the thing is, I'm like, hey, I'm rooting for Derek Carr. I want him to do well, but it's just like, as the years go by, the time goes by. Yeah, you got to look at the result and just be like, damn, it is what it is. But and they got a new OC again too, so we know how he is with first year offenses. Like it's tough no matter what, bro. But that's a whole different conversation, man. Hey, if you've been watching it for this long, man, you hopefully I'm hoping that you hit that like button. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell. You might be seeing it on both. You are going to see it on both our channels. So as you see to my right or to my left, how you want to look at the severe Raider on the screen. Obviously, you see my name, PharoahNFL. You can find us all over social media with these names, and also subscribe to the channel, man. We're trying to grow on here and like the video. All that. And hit that notification bell too, so you'll be notified when we do drop. Because some of y'all be like, hey man, I missed the show, I missed the live. Hit that notification bell and it will notify you. It will let you know. So you won't miss anything that we drop. But hey, this is kind of our highly anticipated new segment. You know what I mean? I was hoping that I had like a special sound. We're gonna introduce that in a future show, but for right now, it's known as Flag on the Play, man. Flag on the Play, man. Things that we heard or seen it the first time, and it made us think like, what? I don't know. We didn't either agree with it. We had an issue with it. We want to talk about it. But let's get into it, man. Hey, what's the first flag on the play that you have for the people, for the nation?
Oh, man. So... ironically, man, we were just talking about Jared Goff and Ben Johnson and the Lions, man. Both of my flags on the play come from that organization, unfortunately, man. And I think the first one we're going to go with is Dan Campbell's post-game comments to his team, after a very, very disappointing loss to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, the game that they basically had a stranglehold on, and they really should have won. He told his team that this may have been their only shot. I mean, I got to throw a flag on that, man. I got to throw a flag on that.
Man, so you just like wrong. That's the wrong answer. That's wrong answers. Yeah. You know what, man? Hey, man, that's a fine line. That's dangerous to say. I mean, obviously, I'm not a head coach of a team, or so I can't speak to it in that perspective. But you would think that if you're telling some grown men that, hey, that was our only shot, like, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to accomplish with that? Like, don't you want to come back next year and win with this group? You know what I mean? Yeah. Some of the main guys. I'm not saying everybody's going to come back. Usually that doesn't happen in the NFL. Like, there's going to be some players are going to come back. Some players are going to stay. There's going to be some roster turnover. But
yeah, one guy
you
that
know,
might not come back. We'll get into that next.
But yeah, man. But he could also be capitalizing on the moment.
Yeah.
And staying true to who he is, and a lot of people say that he's a genuine guy. They trust him, they believe in him, and maybe he's trying to capitalize on that emotion and trying to make sure they don't forget this moment, and then use it as motivation throughout the whole offseason to remind them that, hey, it's going to take a lot to get back here and win it.
True.
Are you going to put in the work?
Yeah.
You know, like he's probably going to use it to challenge him. I don't know. You know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that he's going to use this as a moment to, because I'm looking at it from like, hey, there has to be a purpose for him to talk to them in this way.
Man, I think that was a slip of the tongue, man. I think that was, what they call foot in mouth syndrome. I don't think that's something you want to say to your team after a loss. Now, if you're like in the fourth quarter, and if for anybody that watched that game, man, once the 49ers came back and tied it up, the team looked dejected, man. They looked listless, lifeless. They looked like at that point they were starting, like the doubt was starting to creep in. And that's when, Dan Campbell's supposed to be the master motivator. He's the bite him in the knees, guy. Like that's the bite the kneecap, whatever you said, right? He's that guy.
Bite the kneecap, man.
Bro, so he's that guy, right? So I think, in those moments, like late in the game, when you need to rally the troops, that's when you say, hey, you know what? This may be our only shot. What are you guys going to do with this opportunity? We're in the moment right now.
Yeah.
After the game, what you want to do is you want to harness that pain that they're feeling and tell them, hold on to this pain all off season. When you come in the next season, I want you to remember how you feel right now. I want you to carry that feeling with you all the way through until we get back to the playoffs. And next time when we have this opportunity, we're not going to take it for granted. So, that's what you say. You don't say, hey, we may not get back, y'all. We may not get back.
He might as well just said this. He might as well just say this.
The greatest thing about sports is you play to win the game.
Man, facts.
Hello?
Facts.
You play to win the game.
You
don't play it, just play it. That's the great thing about sports.
Hey man.
That's the
classic
GOAT comment
classic
right
Herm
there.
Edwards. Classic Herm Edwards.
Man. Or he could have did the, I don't think we got this sound, but he could have hit him with the Denny Green.
Oh man,
they were who we thought they were, and we let him off the hook. We let him off the hook, and that's what they did. They let him off.
Yeah.
Bro, they had the game plan to beat those guys.
But to keep it Raider, man, this is what I got.
Just win, baby.
Keep it simple, man. Hey, man.
Bro,
but
but
yeah, man. It's some interesting comments, but I think that he's definitely going to try to use this moment. He's going to definitely try to. There was some meaning to what he was saying. It is a dangerous game to play to say it like that. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how that locker room would take it, but I'm sure they're pretty close. I mean, that's all they talk about. They talk about how like Dan Campbell is this guy that's super genuine and they believe in, and they're like they trust him. Like it's a unique situation, and you got Ben Johnson wanting to come back. He had a head coaching job, like easy if he wanted to, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna come back. He betting on himself, supreme confidence. He believes in the situation that he's going back to, the players, and himself. Like, and part of the reason, like I said, is Dan Campbell. But yeah, man, it's some interesting comments. But we have another flag on the play. You want to give the people an intro?
This may be the biggest flag on the play. We talk about the team may be looking different. Maybe some guys that may not be back. Oh, I got a guy that I would squarely say he has a very good chance of not being back. This guy had two very pivotal drops in the game. One was on a 4th and 2 play. that the Lions went for it, and then they were up 14 at the time. Instead of taking the easy 3 points, they trusted their quarterback, and they trusted their offensive coordinator, and they trusted their wide receiver core, and the guy dropped the pass. It was a little bit of a difficult catch, but he should have made the catch. And then this play with the game tied up and the Lions driving.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what happens. See if the people forgot about this play. It was a big play. 3rd down and 10. As you can see the score at 3rd quarter, 24-24. Momentum shift was happening before our eyes. The Niners were in control of this game. Even though they were coming back, they had like a run that eventually had them winning the game. So, and part of the reason why this run was made, part of the reason why the run happened was some of these receivers to the Lions were dropping passes. Man. And here we go.
Blitz coming. Goff over the middle, and it's dropped. Oh, it was a first down gimme. And Reynolds
in his chest.
Blitz coming. Goff over the middle, and it's dropped. Oh, it was a first down gimme. And Reynolds could. Blitz coming. Goff over the middle.
Right there.
Yeah, man, right there.
Oh my!
You do not make it like that's.
He's gonna have nightmares.
Nobody, man. Bro, and that's a situation where he makes that grab. He plants a foot in the ground. He can possibly, make a move to the inside, still be running, or make a move to the outside and get another, 3-4 yards.
He's a deep threat too. He's a deep threat.
Oh yeah, and that is, and what's crazy is that's Josh Reynolds. He's a guy that came over from the Rams. I'm sure he's a guy that Jared Goff said, hey, you know what? I want this guy here with me. And he's a guy that should be very familiar with catching passes from Jared Goff. He's been catching passes from him for years.
Yeah.
And for you to drop that ball in that situation, like I said, that was a second drop. And this was a momentum killer, man. If they could have put a nice drive together right here, and even just flip field position, man. If you get to the 40-yard line right there, you flip field position, man. You forced the 49ers to basically drive the length of the field. Instead, now you're punting from your own 25 essentially. It just changes the complexity of the game, man. And yeah, man, I gotta throw a flag on that, bro. You're an NFL wide receiver in the biggest game of your life, or one of the biggest games of your life. But you drop a pass right there. You gotta help your quarterback, man. You gotta help.
Hopefully he bounce back, man. He uses motivation, man. Like he Jugs machine every day. Wake up, brush his teeth, Jugs. You know what I mean?
Like, gonna bounce back, all right. Right back to the unemployment line.
Hey, that's Josh Reynolds. He used to play for the Detroit Lions.
Wow, somebody, bro, he can't show his face in Detroit. Oh, bro, he cannot. He lost some people some money. He can't show his face in Vegas, in Detroit, anywhere that's gambling.
Yeah, Josh but you know what? Hey, look, but you know what too? Josh Reynolds is a deep threat, man. Why is he running that route? Like, why didn't you run a different receiver that is used to running that route? I mean, I'm sure that's an in-breaking route, so they run that a lot in that offense too. So
yeah.
So and you're right. He's familiar with the quarterback. There's a trust factor there. He should have made that catch. It's literally in his chest cavity, like it's right here, and he just dropped it. But it is what it is. They lost it. There was a few ways they lost the game too. It wasn't just because of that play. They didn't lose the game on that play, but it was a big play. It was definitely a big play.
It's that fourth down. I think the fourth down drop was a bigger, more important drop. But I think that catch was much more difficult to make than this catch. So that one, give him a little bit of a pass. I still think he should have caught it. He's an NFL receiver, but I give him a little bit of pass on that. But Josh Reynolds, like we blame Dan Campbell for going for it on fourth down, but one of those fourth downs he went for would have been a conversion that Josh Reynolds dropped. So, I think most people blame Josh Reynolds and Dan Campbell, but I give more to blame to Josh Reynolds, man. Like Josh Reynolds is the reason why we have a 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl right now, man. I blame you, Josh Reynolds. If you watching this, it's your fault, dog. It's your fault.
Oh man, it's about that time, man. It's about that time. We've had a great show, man. Great conversation as always. Man, Senior Bowl, like you said, is upon us right now. So we're gonna hear some news. We're gonna hear some stuff coming out of there. We got some of Raider Nation out there too, as well, as far as the beat writers, there's guys that's out there. So definitely make sure that you guys pay attention. And hey, man, we're gonna be paying attention for y'all. So just join us the next time we go live. We doing, obviously this show is a little bit different, you know, but we'll be live soon enough. Hopefully we'll be talking about the new Raiders offensive coordinator, because that's a big hire that needs to happen. But if the Raiders stay patient enough, they might be waiting until after the Super Bowl to maybe hire Clint Kubiak, if that's their guy. If that's the guy they want, and maybe there's a under the table kind of promise, you know, I don't know. I don't know what could possibly happen. And they can obviously just announce the offensive coordinator position this week. It can happen, and if once it happens, we'll definitely be here to break it down. But any last thoughts, Severe?
Yeah, man. What I was just thinking when you said that, what if we wait till after the Super Bowl, right? And we like, yo, we interview Clint Kubiak, everything goes great. Like, yo, man, you know, we want to offer you the job as offensive coordinator. He's like, you know what? I'm good, man. I think I'm gonna go back to the Niners. What if he does a Ben Johnson, bro? What if he does a Ben Johnson? He's like, nah, I'm good, bro.
I think
that would be.
I don't think that would happen, but that'd be crazy if he did that. But because I feel like it would be. I think it is a good spot for an OC, because they're gonna get him a QB. They're gonna get him they're gonna attack this offseason. They're gonna address that quarterback position. They're gonna address that offense. Like, that offense scored 0 points in a 3-0 game. Like the Raiders were a part of a 3-0 game. I just want to let y'all know, and they lost. If we witnessed that in a season, then we need to be replacing and firing and doing whatever we need to do to have a decent offense to go along with a good defense, an up and coming defense. But yeah, that being said, man, hey man, it's like I said, it's been a great show, and it's about that time, man. Till next time. Peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Believe that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.